The U.S. is asking, and Trump, that is asking for progress from Mexico in stemming the flow of migrants. He's now threatening tariffs. Does this policy of tariffs help with the immigration policy?
Well, the thing you have to remember about Trump is that he's all about distraction. He ran his presidential campaign that way, and he continued into his presidency. And trade is the perfect distraction because, you know, there's 190 countries in the world, and we have trade with the overwhelming majority of them. And so this is the main purpose. When he attacks Mexico, he's also trying to appeal to an anti-immigrant base, is a significant part of his base. He's appealing to racist fears and animosities. So that's most of it. I don't think that there's anything that, you know, he's actually trying to accomplish economically.
This is clearly a negotiating tactic, though, is it not? Does it pressure these countries at all?
I don't know. I mean, you know, first of all, we have to look at what's the root cause of the immigration that you do have. And that's the policies that a lot of it is what the United States has done. So, for example, you have a lot of migrants from Honduras. Well, there was a coup there in 2009 that was aided and abetted and supported by the U.S. government. Hillary Clinton even wrote in her memoirs that she worked to prevent the democratically elected president from going back to the country. And that place has been a terrible mess since then. And that's a lot of the migration. You go through all the... And Mexico itself, of course, has been a terrible failure since NAFTA. Millions of people lost their livelihood in agriculture because of the, you know, elimination of tariffs in Mexico on corn. And the poverty is worse than it was before NAFTA. So these are the kind of things that really have changed the countries where the migrants are coming from. And even the ones who come from Central America and Mexico, they would be staying there if Mexico had just continued to grow at the rate that they grew before the United States became heavily involved in determining economic policy in the 1980s and 90s.
But let me ask you about the other countries. I mean, clearly Mexico just happening a few hours ago, but we also did see Trump impose tariffs on China, as you know. He also is ending the preferential trade deal with India. So how much pressure do these tactics by Trump put on these countries?
I don't think they buy very much at all. Look at China, for example. What is he trying to do there? Well, you know, that's, again, a lot of that is distraction, but some of that he's actually trying to accomplish something for the big pharmaceutical companies in terms of making their patents stronger and longer so they can make more money. He's also trying to make it easier for U.S. companies to outsource there by saying that, demanding that China does not put any conditions on foreign investment in China, for example, sharing of technology. And so those things are, you know, they're going against what he's promised his base. Again, it's all electoral because he was saying he was going to help create jobs in the United States. But what is he going to get? And you know, he's attacking Huawei, the second biggest cell phone company in the world, cutting them off from U.S. markets and technology. Well, you know, China will just shift and adapt. You know, in 2009, we had a deep world recession, including the Great Recession in the United States. China just adapted and plowed right through that with the highest growth in the world, something around 8 or 9%. And so they have control over their, a lot of control still over investment, over their financial system. So they will adapt to whatever the United States does, and you'll just see more integration between China and Europe. For example, the European countries are not going along with the U.S. attempts to cut off Huawei.
Right. Okay, Mark Weisbrot, we thank you very much for speaking to us from Washington. Now, if we take